Welcome to the Hockey Players Club podcast. Brought to you by HockeyPlayersClub.com, where hockey players from around the world connect for one-of-a-kind content and quality products at unbeatable prices. Like the brand new Hpc X1x Hockey Stick, made of 100% 18K Diamond Light carbon fiber, completely redesigned and only weighing 375 grams, the X1X delivers all the performance and durability of the most elite sticks on the market, but for $100 less.
Let's see what this man thinks.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Hockey Players Club podcast. It has been a long, strange journey in between the end of the NHL season and the beginning of the, what would you call it? Are you going to call it the play-in round, or would you call it the playoffs? Or
Return to
tournament?
Return to play, restart, something like that. So wait, you're telling me that we didn't do a podcast every week during the shutdown? Did I just imagine all that?
Well, you did. We had you go to a undisclosed location and
there was some real gold
do
in
it
there.
remotely.
It's too bad.
And we're glad you found us, but just to remind you, Kyle Kittleberger, Brandon Rubio, Matt Schwartz are the ugly mugs I'm looking at, and I'm Kevin Custrin, and we're glad you found us.
Well, he hasn't lost his rudeness during the quarantine time.
No, if anything, it's grown.
Not at all,
Yeah.
not at all. And just in case you're wondering, Rubio has not gotten younger.
That's neither of you. That's fact. Maybe a couple more gray hairs.
That is a record fast time
by the
to
way,
throw in an old
coming from graybeard over there.
Right?
That's
This is
true. That's
Just
true.
for men.
I am now officially 35 too. So
Oh, yeah.
bring it on.
Me too. Yeah.
Bring it on.
Seriously, a lot of gray beard.
Oh, it is. Get me out in the sun and you'll confuse me.
But guys, a ton has happened somehow during this quarantine time.
Yeah.
We've
And
got-
I am super excited that real hockey will be returning to us very soon.
Right.
Well, it's kind of back.
It's
Kind of is.
Exhibition games.
Exhibition games starting today. Yeah. A lot of cool shit going on.
But I can't wait for Saturday, the good old play-in games in preparation for the playoffs.
Hell yeah.
Oof. But before we get there, boys, what do we think about the Seattle Kraken?
I like it. I'm a big fan.
Any surprise on the name? Do we expect that?
Yeah, to be honest, I think we even talked about it on a previous podcast before we broke for the pandemic. So it didn't surprise me with the name, but really liking the logo, the jerseys, how they're rolling it out, and obviously the response has been good.
I think it's awesome. Love the name. They're like one of, I think, 4 or 6 professional sports teams that doesn't end in an S, which is cool. It's always
Very cool.
cool. And I wasn't a big fan of their colors. They're growing on me a little bit. I thought maybe they'd have like a little lime green accent in there. But a couple facts that we saw that apparently they're the best-selling expansion team ever, with over 50% more merchandise sales than the Vegas Golden Knights in 2017. And they already have more followers on Instagram than the Florida Panthers.
That's wild.
Man.
No surprise. It's going to be a great hockey market. I
For
mean,
sure.
they've had the Seattle. Why can I not? I'm blanking on the their
MLS team.
WHL team as well. Don't they have a WHL team? I'm making that up.
Yeah.
They used to have an NHL team right near Canada. I mean,
Thunderbirds?
That sounds right. Let's just roll with it. But I think it's going to be a great city for an NHL team.
And they do well with another
Thunderbirds is correct.
niche sport like American
Nice.
soccer. They got an MLS team out there that has a big following.
Yeah, the Sounders.
Yeah, soccer, hockey. It's close. Moving on. The Olympics.
No, I'm super excited actually for, well, a couple of things. Number one, the fact that in the whole return to play that they agreed to a CBA that brings us, labor peace for another 6 years is awesome. And the fact that Olympics was included as part of that is huge, because the Olympics in 2018, it was okay at best. It really wasn't great because you didn't have the best players in the world competing. But the fact that as part of this, they're going to be involved in 22 and 26 if they can come to agreement with the IOC, which I feel like they probably will. There's just too much at stake for them not to do it, especially being in Beijing in 2022. It's going to be great, especially because as soon as it was announced, I saw a bunch of different outlets that were talking about potential lineups in 2022 for U.S. and Canada and Sweden and Russia. And Team USA looking pretty damn good, especially when
They
you
are.
put Austin Matthews, Jack Eichel as your 1-2 centers there. I'm excited already, and it's 2 years away.
It's pretty cool in terms of Team USA. A lot of these guys that were winning golds in the World Juniors and the U18s and U17s these past handful of years are now like Olympic age, right?
Yep.
And seeing that young talent be in the lineup, I think it'll be kind of fascinating to see, though. Last Olympics we had NHL players. I thought we had some interesting selections on the roster.
Agreed.
Ryan Callahan, I'm a fan, but don't think he should have made the team, quite frankly. And I'm kind of hoping that they don't look at it in like years past where they're worried about too much. Like, I guess you want maybe someone that's been there before, but other than that, let's load up the talent because there's a lot of young USA talent right now.
Yeah.
Part of me is a little bit confused because I always kind of agreed with the NHL's position on why not to send players to the Olympics. And what changed there? Is it just the fact that players really want to participate?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was
I think
just
that's absolutely
demanding
what
it.
it
Yeah.
is.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think the NHL used it basically as a bargaining chip, being like, okay, well, we want this in the new CBA. If you guys want to be involved in the Olympics, then you got to give us a little bit more on the escrow or whatever the heck the issue happened to be. But the players, especially the guys that would have been playing on the team, it's maybe once, twice in a lifetime type of experience for those guys. And it was important, especially to European players. The Olympics are a really, really big deal, sometimes even more so than like the Stanley Cup. And so I think it was really important to them, and they made sure it was part of the negotiation.
Always scary, though, when you think and you look at potential Canadian roster.
Oh,
You look
they're
at Team
always
USA,
stacked,
and you're
yeah.
like, yeah, we're looking good, man. And you look at Team Canada and the guys they're going to cut. You're like, Jesus.
Yeah.
And then one of those sneaky Scandinavian teams comes in and just fucking
Wipes the floor
Yeah.
with everybody.
Yeah. All of a sudden, Tuukka Rask is playing like he's 10 years younger and nobody can score on Finland. What the hell just happened?
Yeah.
Timu comes out of retirement just because he's the Olympic great.
It is exciting though, because we were talking about the World Cup of hockey and looking back at some of those games and how great it was. It's exciting to have that.
Best of the best.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. And you have potentially some of the biggest names in the game competing against each other on different teams. It's going to be awesome.
What was the year that Canada beat? Was that 2002 or 2006? Canada over USA, with Joe Sakic had 4 points. Marlon Lemieux was on the team.
That was
It's got to be
02.
2002.
Yeah. In Salt
I mean,
Lake. Yeah.
How much fun was that hockey to watch? Like, I don't know. I just think when I think of Olympic hockey, it's a whole other level of like camaraderie and fandom, if you will.
Well, yeah, that year and 2010, because it was the same final. It was Canada versus U.S., obviously, when Crosby scored the golden goal.
I know. I just trying to ignore that one.
Well,
I'm trying to repress that one.
the end was sad for us Americans, but I'll never forget when Parisi scored to tie that game up and how unbelievable the celebration just amongst us where we were watching the game was. Yes, it was fleeting, but it was a nice moment.
It was a nice moment.
Quick trivia for you, Kyle. How many gold medals has the U.S. won?
2.
Nailed it.
Can you name the years?
60 and 80?
Oh my goodness, this guy is great.
Hasn't lost his touch.
Oh man.
Call in if you're interested.
In other news, prior to getting, of course, all the play-in and playoff stuff, the NHL had their first round of a lottery, which I know that even just sounds weird to say out loud.
Yeah, it was different.
And I mean, is it fair to say, and we'll talk about the details in a second, I mean, was it a fail? I think it was kind of a fail.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
That's all you got for me? Man of many words.
I think it was a.
I thought you had more to it. Did you not? You're not going to keep going? No, I thought it was a fail, both in execution and in end result.
I totally agree. I think it was a huge failure. I mean, my thing is, I know you want to discourage teams from tanking, but you really need to find a way to prioritize those teams from getting the best picks. I don't know what the right
agree.
answer is, but we can't have a top 24 team in that one spot, I don't think. Maybe they should have just did a 7-team lottery.
And I don't like Detroit falling all the way down to 4. I mean, they were far and away the worst team. Like, how are they not getting... There needs to be something in there, top 2, maybe top 3. I don't know.
I don't know. I hear all your guys' arguments, but I kind of thought it was awesome. The fact, the way that
course
it
you
all played out. Just because it was a very unique situation because of the whole return to play, and so you didn't have your specific field of 15 teams that were going to be part of the lottery. And so I thought what they came up with was at least clever in terms of, okay, we have our 7, and then we just have 8 placeholder spots. And if one of those happens to win, it's going to be one of the teams that loses. Now, from what I heard, it was the Jets, that if you would have done it strictly on points percentage, the Jets would have won the lottery and would have gotten the first overall pick. But obviously now that's all up in the air. They're going to do a second lottery after the play-in round. But I thought it was pretty great because now all those teams that are playing as part of the play-in round, like you can't tell me that there aren't people in Chicago or Montreal that are sitting there being like, hey, you guys better lose this play-in round and get lucky and get us Alexei Lafreniere.
I know, but if the Winnipeg Jets, they don't need Alex Lafreniere, right? I hear you, and it does make it way more exciting. And the suspense exists that otherwise wouldn't. But in the idea of just making sure some talent passes around the league and we get some teams competitive every few years, I'm not a big fan.
I smell something a little fishy. The whole production was, 30 minutes, and it was Commissioner Daly just sitting there flipping cards. There were no actual, balls coming out,
They
right?
do that beforehand. They don't
Yeah, but
do it
I want to
live.
see it, Kyle.
I'm with you. It's like the Powerball.
I don't trust
I don't trust these motherfuckers.
I don't trust
And it just so happens this next coming French Canadian is available, and look what team might get him. The Montreal Canadiens.
The Pittsburgh Penguins.
You know, wouldn't that be
fucking
some
hope
shit?
not.
Well, first off, the Pittsburgh
All the
Penguins
conspiracy
got him.
theorists say that if it's the Penguins or the Oilers that somehow end up with them, like the fix was in.
Right? It would have to be.
I think the Canadians.
Could be. They could use. Honestly, they could use it.
So what do? They will take the 8 losers and do another raffle.
Yep.
Hopefully live.
I don't know.
They're just gonna
It'll
flip
probably
a
be the
card.
same thing. They probably
Pre-recorded
will.
live.
They probably do it in a room with just there's one representative from each team, and they do the actual lottery, so they get to witness it. And then the half hour after is when they do the reveal show or whatever the fuck they're gonna do. But yeah, it's gonna be the 8 teams that lose the return to play or the play-in round rather, and they all have an equal. I think it's 12.5% chance or whatever of getting the number 1 overall pick, which is pretty wild.
Each team should have a representative that shoots a puck, and there's
want a skill
there's
base.
a
cutout?
Yeah, cutout, and you get to choose which one you hit, and that's your number.
It's a good old-fashioned shooting game
Yeah.
for it. That seems fair.
Yeah, let's make this entertaining.
I heard
instead of
Bettman-
some guy in a suit flipping up cards for 30 minutes.
Bettman did send every guy on the team a big foam finger on the Red Wings. So it's not all a loss.
Oh, good. I'm sure that'll.
You just
Make
don't
them feel
know what finger.
Or where to put it.
Or
How many?
Oh, right?
Kyle, you got one too? You fucked it up.
Gentlemen, so as we already commented on Saturday, it's finally the day. NHL's
Yeah!
right?
It's back, baby!
So let's give a quick rundown. Currently, there's 24 NHL teams that could win the Stanley Cup.
Yep.
Right? So we got 8 series. They're playing a best of 5 as a play-in. The other 8 teams have already qualified for a playoff position.
Yep.
They're going to play a round robin. Correct me if I'm wrong. That'll actually sort them 1 through 4. So
Correct.
at this point, points in the regular season mean
Dipshit.
Okay.
Nothing. Doesn't matter.
Fair enough. Hub
Thank-
cities, Toronto and Edmonton. Definitely want to go in Canada right now, considering
They
the
won't
old-
More
let
bang
you-
for your buck and less COVID.
They won't let you in
and,
there.
and less COVID. And I'll be allowed back in a month or so. Well, we'll see.
Are Americans
Well-
in general allowed in Canada right now?
You're right.
No.
Yeah.
By the time I'm allowed back, Americans are probably.
It's all tied together, damn it, but that's for another podcast.
But there's been a lot of debate over these past handful of months. Should the NHL even, finish the season? What do you guys think? I know there's a lot of money on board here, and we can get into those details, but I don't know.
I think now that we're at this point, and I think they just had their latest reveal that every player was tested, 0 positive cases.
4,000 some. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a definite win. I think people are enthusiastic, ready for it, excited for it. Assuming they manage it the right way, which it seems like they will in the bubble sense. And we don't have any Florida Marlin type issues that present themselves.
Miami Marlins.
I think it's going to be a home run for them. Could actually generate new fans and interest because so many people are yearning for sports right now on TV or really any sort of competitive action. So I think it's a win. Apparently they stand to save $500 million in, I would say, like ad revenue, TV revenue. So I think it's a home run, and I'm excited.
Yeah, listen, if it's doable, you do it. Obviously, they're showing that it was doable, and in my opinion, they're doing it the right way, contrary to what you're seeing in baseball where there are no bubbles and everyone is traveling all over the goddamn country, and then you've got, like you said, breakouts in Florida, and they're playing games, and now who knows who the hell it's going to. But I think with the bubbles, they're doing it the right way, and how can you not love sports coming back? And we all love hockey, and let's be honest, if we could reach a wider audience, grow the sport a little bit, because there's not that much on, that's positive. And the other side of it is, have you seen some of the game schedules? Take your vacation days then, boys. Because there's some days where you can just sit from noon, 4, 8, just games all goddamn day.
You literally could watch games from like noon till like 1 a.m.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what I plan on doing starting August 1st.
I say we make a t-shirt that says, I lost my job because the NHL came back.
Yeah, right?
I've already planned that, like, for my real job, I'll probably mark my calendar that I'm very busy from noon on as we move forward.
Do not call, do not fax.
I'm sorry, I can't join your important meeting. The Rangers and Hurricanes are playing right now. I really can't deal with it. But no, I've obviously read and listened to a bunch of information about the whole return to play, and I think it's going to be unbelievable because you're going to have 5 or 6 games every day, as you guys said, from noon all the way until after midnight as they're spread out. Yeehaw! And I always loved the first round because you would have that sort of March Madness feel where you have
so many games.
back-to-back games. But now, because of the whole situation we're in, they're able to spread it out even more, so you could literally sit there and just go end to end from one game into the next. And I think they have been pretty smart about how they've set up this bubble and the way that they're really trying to keep it secure and contained. And they've really gone above and beyond, because I've even read a lot of the details of like what's life for the players inside the bubble, and they've tried to make it as comfortable as possible and make sure they have concierge service and they have outdoor spaces they can go to so they're not trapped in their room all day, and they can socialize at least within their team. I think still trying to keep the teams themselves separated from each other, but I think it's going to be awesome. And I know one of the big questions is like, what's it going to be like playing without any fans in a neutral arena? But like, we've all played, for example, the 3 of us got to play at what was then Consol Energy Center, now PPG Paints Arena, for a just glorified beer league tournament. And
we won the championship for the record.
We did win the championship. And how intense was that game? There was fans, 20 people, like wives, girlfriends that
Rounding
happened to show up. Yeah. But it didn't matter because to the players, it meant something. And so for us, it was intense. And you know that those NHL players, there's nobody in the fans, but it's going to mean a whole hell of a lot, and they're going to fucking know it. And you're going to see some intense hockey out there.
I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, for anybody, I understand it might be weird for them. They're used to having almost 20,000 fans yelling. But yeah, this is for a Stanley Cup ring, and this means a lot to these guys. So I don't think there's anything that's going to slow it down. And I do think, like you guys mentioned about the bubble, I think that's a huge win for the NHL. And so far, they're taking it pretty seriously. Those players, like you said, 0 positive tests out of like almost 4,000. When you got like Lou Williams of the, what team does he play for? The Clippers. Did you see about this?
Yeah.
Lou Williams, who's in the bubble of the NBA, goes to a gentleman's club for a lunch buffet.
Oh, no.
And is now in a 10-day quarantine.
I thought it was part of the bubble.
You don't get how good their wings are, goddammit.
Her name was Bubbles. That doesn't count.
It doesn't, Lou. It doesn't. So
shit.
Lou's on a 10-day quarantine. But, yeah, something tells me these NHL players are going to take it a little more seriously. There's so much pride to winning a Stanley Cup. And I think, as a fan, I think we might be really pleasantly surprised of not having fans there. Like, I think we actually might we're going to hear a lot more of the sounds of the game, which we do have to comment here about the 5-second delay so we don't hear too much swearing. God damn it, NHL. I was looking forward to that.
Bunch of pussies.
But I think watching the game, yeah, there will be probably that first game. You're like, weird, you don't see people, but considering they have all the LED screens or all the shit
and the tarps
and all that, I don't think anything's going to be lost from a fan watching on a TV at all. Yeah. I think it's going to be awesome.
I agree, because I think as we mentioned earlier, they just started the exhibition games today. And so I got to watch a little bit of the first one, and I thought it looked pretty good. It seemed like they were like piping in some crowd noise, and I did read that
especially after goals.
They had worked with EA Sports to get some of their like fan noises and stuff like that. And I know that they contacted each of the home arenas for all the teams involved, and they're going to play like the actual songs they play after goals and certain stuff that they do during the whistles and stuff like that to try to give them the best feel of home ice whenever they actually have it. So that's cool, and I appreciate that they're doing all that stuff. And I think as a fan watching it, yes, you will occasionally notice, oh yeah, that's right, there's nobody there. But for the most part, you're going to be focused on the hockey, and I don't think it's going to feel that foreign.
I actually think it might be even more focused because there are no distractions. There's no one in the stands. No Rockets to look at. No in between.
You're missing a pass.
No commercial break kiss cam segments. No ads. It's hockey. We're in here. We're dialed in. We're ready to win it. You do hope that guys aren't stupid, and I'm sure they have the necessary measures in place to not invite anyone into the bubble or to leave the bubble. I hope they have the right things in place, because it could be a nightmare if someone somehow gets in there or someone leaves and gets it, and now it's just festering in there. But I'm sure that they have figured that out. But I think it's going to be really exciting. No distractions. Someone brought up an interesting point on social. So have you guys seen the design of the in-arena experience with the LED screens and the lower bowl seats are kind of covered by
big tarps,
almost like a big tarp. Yeah, they're dark. Do you think there's any issue with goalies losing the puck on like a flip?
They're lighter than you think.
Are they?
It's like if you saw them in the scrimmage or the exhibition game today, it's like a sky blue-ish.
Yeah, and I think they did. And I think they considered that, and they said that originally they were going to tarp off behind the nets, but because that's directly in front of the goalie's site, I think they decided not to do behind as much, or make it like a much lighter color, so that you have that contrast, so you're not going to create visual issues or whatever.
The only criticism I'd have real quick I will say about this is I almost feel like, man, wouldn't it have been nice if they could have started this a month ago. And now I understand maybe a month ago wasn't realistic given all of the world we live in right now, but there has just been such a lack of sports and competition. If they could have got ahead of some of these other organizations or associations that are getting back up to play, it'd be interesting. That said, I'm not opposed if this, obviously it's going to push back a normal regular season start. I wouldn't be opposed if that was even a little bit of a permanent thing, if we didn't start maybe into the mid to late November. Just throwing that out there.
We'll let the NHL know, Brent.
If you could, please contact Gary for me. But yeah, I just wish it kind of happened sooner.
Hey, the one thing that had gotten brought up, too, that I noticed big time in the exhibition game before we started recording this is they've talked about how, since there aren't fans in the stadiums now, how many more opportunities they have to put cameras in places they haven't before.
Oh, interesting.
And the one thing I noticed that stood out is they actually had like this crane cam that was... that would come down like on face-offs.
It almost looked like you'd seen a video game.
Yes, or expensive movies where like it will follow the puck a little bit and go from up top here down to the lower corner and nice and smoothly. But it definitely was something that stood out that the NHL hasn't done much, and we'll probably see a little bit more of that.
Yeah, that's badass. I saw the clip of the opening face-off of today's Flyers.
That's what I'm talking about.
And it was straight out of a video game. Shows the scoreboard, then comes down over top, and that is really cool. And ultimately, I think it will benefit the game in the long run. They'll probably learn a lot from the viewer experience. It's really cool. My only gripe with this is the 2014 format. I'm not a big fan of having the 24 teams in. I would hate for one of these teams that quote-unquote earned their spot to lose in this 5-game qualifier after a couple exhibition games and this huge lull. I don't know. Something rubs me the wrong way there.
So you want just the top 16?
I think that would be my preference. That, or you find a way to get like the next 2 teams in, like maybe a play-in or something like that from the teams that were close. 24. I mean, you have. I forget the teams. Is it Chicago or Montreal? One of the two. We're actually under 500.
I think Montreal.
Yeah, and the Penguins have to play them, and it's a crapshoot. I mean, it's a 5-game series after not playing for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that, but all in all, I think it's a huge success, and I'm more than excited. I know Vegas is probably really excited for this. The 5-second delay we talked about, or we briefly mentioned, kind of, I think it's been received with some angst. I don't think fans have been too happy about that. We always welcome the opportunity to hear the chirps.
Yes.
And from a league standpoint, you almost have to. You have to protect your players.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There should be an option. Give us an optional channel that can be, hey, guess what? We didn't have to do extra work on this fucking channel.
Here's
Go
your
ahead and watch
unfiltered
it.
Listen, I've said this for
We've
years.
talked about it
I
all
would
the
pay
time.
premium to hear what these guys are saying.
Because you
I
know those
absolutely would.
chirps are fantastic.
If I could just like pick what microphone I wanted to listen to around the rink, like one's on the bench because I see 2 guys bitching at each other.
That'd be
love it.
great.
I think it'd be fantastic. It's just, God forbid someone says
Come to
something.
HPC NHL. We got ideas.
Do you think Brad Marchand is saying PG-13 things all around the ice? The answer is no. Of course he's not.
But here's the thing: as long as there aren't any,
Racial slurs.
no racial slurs.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically what you're trying to avoid. There's going to be other things that, like, it's in the heat of the moment. If you're in the NHL, what you're really concerned about are racial slurs, which, I'll be honest, I would hope that doesn't happen in today's game.
Right. I would really hope.
A couple mother jokes, something about, like, I'm going to kill you or something. Whatever, that happens.
If we've gotten so soft that you can't make a mother joke, God,
or like something about your
deport
wife.
me.
I don't want to live in a world like that. Right? Deport me.
It's definitely something to consider down the road. I know the PGA Tour has mic'd up their players during rounds. Totally different dynamic. I get it.
Not as much trash talking now.
But they are entrusting that their players don't say anything, and it could almost be, hey, we're miking you up for premium content here.
Hey, you want entertainment? Mic me up on the golf course.
Yeah, and we're miking guys up during practice. I mean, I know they're not going to chirp their own
Or
teammates.
actually, bring a
but
mic
like,
with you
come
guys
on.
when you go.
Well, they do, but they cut that out.
Yeah.
Or put the vulgar version on a minute delay. That way, if anyone
Well,
really
make it
says
premium
anything.
content that anybody that wants to
Pay it for it.
actually listen to has to pay for it. And
With
I
a
guarantee
credit
you-
card, which means you're 18 years old.
And maybe you make
Cover
it on
your ass.
demand, or
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
you give them an opportunity to weed out like the
People will
really bad
pay
shit.
to see that, for sure.
Agreed. We talked about the arena setup. So one thing that I've really loved about the whole return to play, the phase 1 and phase 2, is teams, in order to produce content, have just been posting a lot of videos of their players doing skill drills and in practice. And I don't think we get enough of that during the year. It's kind of an afterthought, and it really showcases how skilled these guys are. And I've particularly enjoyed that. I know Twitter, most teams share it on Twitter, and it's just like I'll go to Twitter and hit the teams, and like you want to see Elias Pettersson do something crazy in practice. And what have you guys thought about that? Have you enjoyed that part of it?
I've loved it, although I felt terrible for Michael, how do you say it? McNiven? Whatever his name is. Shea Weber, you see that?
Not going to be in the league anymore anyway.
Shea Weber just...
Walked in from like the top of the circles.
Yeah, God, anytime you see that happening as a goalie, you've got to be shitting your pants a little bit. And literally shot the puck through his cage, and the guy gets stitches on his cheek. That was a little scary, but also just wild to see this guy in practice is bringing
Why
the heat
don't
like that.
Did I miss shots of the helmet? Because I couldn't find shots. Do they have shots of the helmet somewhere?
You mean like dented in
Yeah.
or whatever? I don't know.
I want shots of that fucking goalie helmet, man.
I haven't seen
Surprising
I think
thing
it
is,
went
with
through
the
the cat
eye, like, it doesn't need to go that far to actually make contact. Like, the cat eye does not give you that much leeway. So if somebody really brings the fucking heat,
Like
to
Shea
your eye
Weber?
socket, like Shea Weber, yeah, it doesn't need to bend much to make fucking contact with your cheek.
But I mean,
Still want to see it.
watching him bring it anytime I can get a video of Ovechkin or a guy like Pasternak just setting up on that umbrella spot, taking one tees. I mean, I'll do it all day. I literally, like, that could be like my background, like, TV channel all day. It's just like watching those guys take one-timers. Mix in Lemieux a little bit there, but I love it.
It's cool because you get to see clips of guys doing stuff in practice that they maybe might not do in a game, but it just shows how talented they are,
Yeah,
and how
absolutely,
skilled they are. One of my favorite clips is there's a shot right behind Sagan as he's coming in taking a shot on Bishop, who's like 6'7". He's an enormous human being in net, takes up the entire net, and he goes bar down on him. And you have a perfect view of it, and the puck could not be more perfectly placed. Yeah. It was really cool to see, and I hope teams continue to share that kind of content, because as fans and like hockey aficionados, guys that have played, you can really appreciate how talented these guys are. They are truly another level up.
And listen, we're all coaches in some capacity here. You want to show young kids this because this is why they can do stuff in games like that.
Right?
It's not the first time they've ever tried it that all of a sudden they're in an NHL game and they're doing it. No, it gets repped out. It gets practiced over and over again.
Yep.
And that's kind of what you're seeing. And you're right in that, you know, they don't have to worry about consequences like you would in a game, and they're a little bit freer to try some stuff. And, you know, you definitely see that. And I certainly enjoy it because it's enjoyable.
And if you're the NHL, if you think about this, I mean, this is just a whole, I mean, you're already practicing, just capturing the stuff on video and sharing it. Like, we still love a snipe, whether that happens. I mean, obviously, if it happens in a game, in Game 7, when the guy's under pressure, that is one thing. But I still enjoy that, you know, not under pressure, one-timer under the bar during practice. So, more content, throw it out there. Moving on, gentlemen.
Moving on.
I think so. I think
we can keep it.
Yeah.
You got a prediction?
Yeah, we've talked a lot about how we're going to have the return to play. So we've got 8 pretty compelling 5-game series here. What does everybody think? Because in best of 7, they always say that most of the time you're going to have the best team come to the forefront. But best of 5, I mean, any team can have a bad 3 games, a bad 4 games. Look what happened to fucking Tampa Bay last year. They had a bad week. All of a sudden, they're out against Columbus after a
goalie can get hot.
Historic break. Yeah, goalie, absolutely, in a 5-game series.
And especially under these conditions where these guys haven't played together for months.
Everyone's playing
and
a road
all of a sudden,
game.
they've come to training camp for 2 weeks. You know, it's totally different dynamic than usual.
Whole life hangover.
Do you guys know how they're doing? They are going to do like a home and away for last change, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
That's like the one thing that I can think about. Like, there is no, I feel like in the NHL playoffs, there is totally a home ice advantage. The energy of the crowd, the noise, you know, that's not going to be there.
So I think I did briefly mention it before that I know that they are going to, whoever's the home team, they're going to pump in that team's like music and sound effects and whatever they do during the game to try to give those players the most home ice feel as they possibly can. So that's at least something. Like your team scores, they're going to pump in the crowd going wild and play your normal goal music.
When you're on the power play, they're gonna play shoot.
You know, when you're in Philadelphia and you're the Penguins, they're gonna play "Fuck You, Crosby."
But yeah, no, I think they are trying to do that to try to capture and make it as much of an actual home ice feel. And yes, they get last change and those other advantages that you normally get as the home team. So they are doing that still, but it's going to be very, very
It'd be
interesting.
badass if they could somehow get like fans to interact, where if they did whatever X, it could contribute like a little bit of noise to the
That's
fans.
interesting.
Like if they tweeted or if they pressed a button or something. I don't
an
know.
app. I actually went, crazy little side note, went to a Drake Lil Wayne concert. This is probably like 4 or 5 years ago. And they were like dueling. They would come out each for a song. And they had some kind of an app where you voted for one or the other. And it was like a real-time app. And you would see people hitting the screen. Now, this isn't a Drake Lil Wayne concert. But something like that could work.
Well, could you please just stop hitting the button for a second?
Damn!
Shut it off. Shut the goddamn thing off.
All right, but What do we think? I mean, we got 8 series. Where do we want to start? We want to start Western
with the
Conference?
West.
Go right
Start
down the
with the
top
West.
there.
All right. Maddie, I'm coming to you first.
Pass.
Edmonton, the 5 seed, right? They would have been a shoo-in for the playoffs, at least how it looks. They're playing the experienced Chicago Blackhawks. Who do you got?
I chose Edmonton. I think Chicago, this is, any of these are a toss-up. They could find a little energy, hey, we're in this, boys. We got new life. We weren't in the playoffs, and now all of a sudden we are, and we got a team over there that's got all the pressure in the world on them. They're playing with house money. But I think Taves was one of the outspoken guys who didn't want to return to play. That sort of energy, I don't know if this is good for the team, and I think Edmonton is the real deal. So I chose the Oilers.
How many games?
I'm going to say 5.
All right.
I think we're going to have a lot of five gamers.
I'm going to go the opposite way, and I'm going with the veteran Chicago Blackhawks upsetting the Edmonton Oilers and not letting them taste those playoffs for the first time with Connor McDavid. And I think this is another team like our boys.
Connor McDavid's played in the playoffs, but go ahead. You continue your thought.
Another team. This is another team that's really going to benefit from the extended layoff with the older guys that they have. Kane, Taves, Duncan Keith, Corey Crawford should be past this COVID positive test and back in between the cage. If that can happen, they can make a run. They're not make a run, but at least get into the playoffs. And if Corey Crawford is not healthy, there's no chance.
I went with the Oilers. When you've got McDavid and you've got Draisaitl, those are your trump cards. It doesn't matter what Chicago is bringing to the table. And Chicago were sellers at the deadline. They traded their best goaltender, which was Robin Lehner. Like, Crawford, at his age, at 35, still is fine. But if you were really looking to make a run as the Blackhawks, you hold on to Robin Lehner.
Isn't that demoralizing, saying, like, at 35 and we're 35?
Yeah, it is. It really is. A little of me died inside. Thanks for pointing that out.
Thanks for pointing that out, Matt.
But no, I think it's the Oilers. I think that when you've got that high-end skill, they're the difference makers. And especially because McDavid's only had one taste of the playoffs before. Like, that's a guy that's so ultra-motivated. He's going to do whatever the hell he can to make sure that they make it to the first round of the playoffs.
So you have Oilers in how many games?
4. Chicago maybe squeaks out 1, but I think Oilers.
I'm going to echo you, Schwartzy and Kitts, on this one. I mean, I do think Chicago could make this an interesting series, and I do think they're veteran players. Maybe they can dig deep, but it's a lot to count on Crawford right now. He hasn't been too great, they say, this training camp, and their blue line's depleted with DeHaan and Murphy. Edmonton's power play was number 1 in the league going in. Granted, Mike Green elected not to play. He was the guy they got at the deadline or near the deadline. But I don't think they need him. I'm with you. Oilers in 4. Another interesting series, Nashville, Arizona. I'm going the opposite way around the court here. Kittleberger, what do you got?
All right. So I like what Arizona's building over there. I think that Taka gives them a lot of good structure. Their goaltending has been lights out all year. They have a lot of really good pieces that show potential, but they were one of the lowest scoring teams in the league this year. And Nashville is and has proven themselves to be a very, very good defensive team. And in a low scoring battle, I'm going to give it to Nashville in that type of matchup.
Nashville and how many?
I'm going to say 5 in that one. I think that's pretty close.
Cuss?
I'm going to agree with Kittleberger on it. I got Nashville for a lot of the same reasons. I think their goaltending in Arizona has been solid. They've got 2 that could start virtually. Phil Kessel, I don't know if he's going to pop up and say hello anytime soon, but he's got someone that he can score 5-6 goals in a 5-game series and easily get that team to the next level. But I don't see it happening, and I see Nashville moving on to the 16 round.
Schwartzy.
I'm going Arizona on an upset here. I think Nashville is a team that feeds off their crowd. They have a little bit of a goaltending controversy there. I like Phil the Thrill. I love Rick Tockett's leadership. Young team, again, nothing to lose. You're young, you're in the bubble, the camaraderie. Let's get this done, boys. We're playing with house money. We shouldn't have been in the playoffs. Let's shock the world. I'm taking Arizona.
In how many games?
5.
Yeah, this one was tough for me, guys. I think these teams are very similar, right? They're defensive, low scoring. Their offensive talent is very dispersed throughout their lineup. They're not relying on one or two guys. First, second, third lines are all bringing it a little bit. But they both have really strong blue lines. I think you could make the argument each team, their best players, their defensemen, whether it's Ekman Larson on Arizona or Roman Josi on Preds.
Agreed. Yeah.
But I think the experience of Nashville is going to squeak this out, but I definitely see it going 5 games and totally a series. I wouldn't be surprised either way who wins this one.
Okay.
Next one, though, Vancouver, Minnesota. Cuss, we'll start with you since just to change it up.
We haven't yet.
Yeah.
Glad you did. I'm going with Vancouver. I'm going to say in 5 games again, another nice long series. I think Vancouver, had an excellent regular season, even though it feels like a lifetime ago. But they're getting surprisingly veteran play from a guy like Quinn Hughes. Elias Pettersson, we know what he's capable of. Besser, everyone's going off this year. I think they're going to make Minnesota's life miserable and see themselves in the playoffs.
How many games?
5.
Yeah,
Kids?
I like Vancouver as well. And I don't know if this one's going to be that close. I think Minnesota was a bit of a surprise team and how well they were able to play. There were a little bit of sellers at the deadline. They moved Jason Zucker out to the Penguins and stuff like that. And when you look at all the most important positions, I think Vancouver has the edge. Who has the best forward? Pettersson. Who has the best defenseman? I would probably say Quinn Hughes over Ryan Suter. Who has the better goalie? Markstrom was better than either Dubnyk or Alex Stalock this year. So I think Vancouver has the edge in any type of position group you want to look at. And so I actually see Canucks winning in 3.
3? Ooh. Schwartzy.
Yeah, this is my lock. I'm going to put the lock on this one. I love Vancouver. I think their team is awesome. I'm excited about them. They might even be a dark horse for the Cup. And just in watching some of their practices and clips over phase 1 and 2 and 3, Markstrom, I didn't know much about him, but he's a stud. He's had a couple shutouts in their inter-squad scrimmages. They picked up Tyler Toffoli.
That was a good pickup.
Right
And I just love their team a lot. They're young, they're hungry. I'm going Vancouver in 3.
I'm going Vancouver in 4, boys, for much of the same reasons. I do think Minnesota will squeak one out, and I think it's a decent matchup. And the only thing I like better about Minnesota really is some of their decor from 1 through 6. I think I'd take them over the decor on Vancouver, but otherwise I think Vancouver's forwards and like you said, Kits, the goaltending just puts a stamp on it for me. So Vancouver in 4. Last one in the West, and certainly going to be one hell of an entertaining series. I can't imagine what the ratings are going to be like out in Western Canada for Calgary versus Winnipeg, the 8 versus 9, which would have just been a hell of a... I will say, I know you had the argument you'd prefer to see maybe a 16 game or maybe a two extra teams would make the little play-in situation. I mean, I would have loved to have seen the battle down the line to see if Winnipeg could squeak that out as a playoff position over Calgary. But Schwartzy, coming back to you first, who's winning that 8 versus 9 spot, Calgary versus Winnipeg?
So I went with Calgary. I like their goaltending. I like their defense. I like Matthew Tkachuk. The one thing that I wanted to try to find was their season series this year. I think this one's going to be tight. I think both teams are going to want it. Calgary in 5, maybe even, by a single goal, maybe even in overtime.
All right. I'm going the opposite way, close series. I'm taking Winnipeg, and I think they're really hard to stop up front. They got a lot of guys that are coming into their own. Kyle Connor coming off a great shortened season. Interested to see what he does in this playing round. And they got Connor Hellebuck between the pipes, and he could steal a series for you.
Yeah, I agree with Cushman. I think it's Winnipeg. Hellebuck is by far the biggest difference maker there. I think that's the guy that's probably going to win the Vezina this year. And I definitely like him over whoever Calgary's going to throw in net, whether it's Rittich or Mike Smith.
Cam Talbot. Mike Smith plays for Edmonton.
I apologize. You're right. Talbot or Rittich.
Kick him off the show.
But the only position where I think Calgary has the edge is defense, because Winnipeg lost so many high-end defensemen this year. But you look at Winnipeg's offense and all those difference makers they have between Wheeler and Scheifele and Connor and Line, guys that, and Ehlers as well. So that 5 right there, like any one of those guys catches fire and you're in trouble. And so I went with Winnipeg, and I'll say 4.
I'm Winnipeg in 5, very much the same reasons. And for me, the big difference maker is the Hellebuck versus Talbot or Rittich. I mean, Hellebuck would have my vote for the Vezina so far. So hopefully, I mean, I will say, though, I think it's going to be interesting these first few games. I mean, it's going to be knocking some rust off of everybody. I mean, the shooters might not be shooting their best, but it'll be interesting to see where the goalies are in this one.
This is actually something I saw the other day that I wanted to ask all you guys about. So in a long layoff like this, when you get back to an actual real game, drop the puck for the first time, who has the advantage, the shooters or the goalies?
I think the goalies.
I think the shooters do.
Goalies are so big today. Like they're guarding a 4x6 net, and they're so effing big that more often than not, they just need to stand there, and the puck's gonna hit them.
Rubes, what do you think?
I don't know. That's tough. I kind of think, I think it's probably tougher for the goalies, right? I mean, I think these guys are pretty tuned in. You can still practice your shooting. You know, some of these guys have shooting rooms or a slab out back they just shoot off of. I bet you it's probably, and it has to be very difficult to recreate NHL shots. Like, where else are you getting that unless you have some machine that's shooting 95 barring in on you. Left and right.
See, that's exactly where I'm at as well, because I think it's the shooters, because you can try to simulate and pick a particular spot and work on your shooting even when you're off ice, between seasons, whatever. But it's very, very hard to simulate, as you said, somebody coming in and picking a spot on you or giving you some deception or something like that. So I think it's much harder to get up to speed as a goalie than it is to get up to speed as a shooter.
And think about how important rebound control is at the NHL level.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, and that's probably, it's one thing, Schwartz, like you said, to be able to stand there and take shots off your body, but it's another thing to be able to put those rebounds into the non-dangerous areas, excuse me, and do so effectively and swallow them up when it's possible. Because you can see, watch any NHL game, if you see any rebounds out there, they're in the net. You know, it's no debate. So that's something that ties into it too.
Moving out east, and real quick, talking about the goaltenders. I know we were talking about this prior to the episode today. Cuss wrote a pretty awesome blog about just some of the goalie controversies going into the playoffs.
Awesome's debatable term.
Awesome is very very subjective.
Fair.
But
no, it was good.
A lot of these teams are debating, who's going to be between the pipes. And certainly this next series we're about to talk to, Pittsburgh versus Montreal, one of those teams. I know we also talked about already Edmonton, Nashville, some of these other teams in a similar spot. But, Pittsburgh, Montreal, I'll lead it off, I guess, since I'm already talking. As much as I love Pittsburgh, I do think it's an interesting debacle we're in of, do we want Jari or Murray in net? I think a lot of people would lean towards that veteran. I mean, Murray's won 2 cups at this point. But Jari, you can't deny Jari definitely outplayed Murray in the regular season.
Oh, yeah.
But in a short kind of, it's not really a sprint. This is still the classic playoffs, assuming we can get out of the first round here. But you got to win that first best of 5. So do you want to take a chance on a guy that doesn't have NHL playoff experience? I don't know. But I think this series could be more interesting than it should be. But I'm taking the Pens in 4 over Montreal in this one. I just think we have too much offensive firepower. I know Coach Sullivan has come out and said that Malkin has been a beast out there, very motivated. Anytime Malkin's in that kind of a mood, the whole league should be scary. Marleau should be heavily motivated, traded the deadline to the Pens to try and capture the elusive cup he has never had. And come on. If you're going to play in one best of 5 series, do you want, and I don't give a shit if we're doing a draft for who's going to be your team for the next 10, 20 years, but if you have a best of 5 series that starts this weekend, is there any other guy you want on your team than Sidney Crosby?
No.
I'll stop there.
Mario Lemieux, but this is my Eastern Conference lock. Pittsburgh Penguins are going to win this series. You have a highly motivated team. You probably have the one guy in the entire return to play that maybe aside from Henrik Lundqvist that has played the most games, that needs to win a cup. You know they're playing for Patty Marleau. How about the luck of getting Gensel back, who's such a stud, and just adds so much to the team? You have a healthy Hornquist. Montreal is, I hate to say it, but incentivized to fucking lose this series, so they get into Lafreniere lottery. Pittsburgh in 3, maybe 4.
Yeah. At the end of it, we're discussing it just because it's fair to Montreal. This is going to be a bloodbath. And if Carey Price doesn't stand on his head, it's going to be over in the fucking second game. But if he stands on his head, I think it's going to go 4 because I think he'll steal him a game. And then the depth of the Penguins is just going to overwhelm him. I don't care who's in goal, Penn's in 4.
Yeah, I mean, we're all Penguins fans, obviously, so occasionally we have our black and gold glasses on. I'm going to take them off. I'm going to just hit you with some knowledge, which is the fact that, I read a bunch of stuff, obviously, about this series leading up to it, and you go into, advanced analytics and all that type of stuff. They're saying the Penguins have a 63% chance of beating Montreal, which is the best of any of the series that are out there. And that's even if you didn't dress your ultimate lineup. But you talked about Murray versus Jari. I'm hoping that it honestly doesn't matter in this series. I think both of them are good enough that in a 5-game series, they will be solid enough that you'll be able to beat what is not that good of a Montreal team. They actually were sellers at the deadline. They traded away Kovalchuk, Nate Thompson, and Scandella, and there's one other I'm forgetting. But they were looking at this as a lost season. The fact that they have to come back and play now, they have no interest in that. They don't fucking care. I mean, they're going to play hard because they're there, but I think this is easily a Penguins win. They maybe squeak out one just because, they're a prideful team, and Claude Julien, we've all seen what a Claude Julien team can do to the Penguins in the past. That Bruins series back in 2013
They scored 2 goals.
Devastating. Yeah, 2 goals.
4 games.
But they don't have Bergeron, Rask, or Chara, so I'm not worried about the Canadians in this time. I think it's Penguins in. I'll give Montreal, they squeak out 1. I think Penguins in 4.
You don't think Bergevin's going to the guys? Hey.
Right?
Take them out.
No, they still got 1 win in them.
Hey, Kerry, let a couple in early, yeah? We have a draft lottery, yeah?
Yeah.
Hey, we have a little draft lottery, huh?
Carrie, how would you like some Swiss cheese on that sandwich?
Know what I mean?
Huh?
I'd say he needs to work on his material. But boys, I know on a standing perspective, 6 versus 11 doesn't sound that exciting, but I don't know. I think this Carolina Hurricanes New York Rangers series is going to be
the best of the East.
Is going to be a nail biter. What do you got, Kittle?
So it's interesting because I'm sure it's been talked about a lot, the fact that the Rangers went 4-0 against the Hurricanes in the regular season. But you got to love Carolina's team. Even though I know that Dougie Hamilton is apparently still banged up and just suffered an injury like a week or 2 ago, is not available. Neither is Brett Pesce.
Goddamn
but
Band-Aid.
they still, without probably 2 of their top 3 defensemen, have an unbelievable defensive core.
Yeah.
Rod Brendamore's a hell of a coach. They have some good offense, and people kind of forget about the fact that they picked up Vince Trocheck at the deadline this year, which I think is a huge pickup for them. Trocheck is a great player.
I'm not going to lie. I forgot about that until I read about it this morning.
But goaltending is the only place where you could really question him, but Mrazek could get hot. Reimer's been good in spurts. I like Carolina in this. I think it goes 5 games because they're very, very close, but I think Carolina pulls it out.
Cuss, what do you got?
Are you done, Kyle?
I'm done.
You sure you're done?
I'm all
okay.
done.
No, I agree. It's going to be a hell of a series. And I think it's going to hinge on one big decision. And I actually, did cover it in my blog post. But the Rangers making the right decision in goal. Because they've got 3 choices between Lundqvist, Georgiev, and Shesterkin. And it's going to be really interesting who they pick.
Who do you pick?
I had Lundqvist. Not only because he's been there, done that, but because the playoff numbers. Have you seen his playoff numbers?
Oh, they're
actually
unbelievable.
superb. And Shesterkin's the goalie of the future, and Georgiev's a great backup.
I still go
but at the same time, I think I'm going to the King, deferring to the King. And, riding him, I'm going Rangers in 5.
Ooh, kinky.
Rangers. What about you, Schwartzy?
So this series really excites me. This is probably the one.
He's got wood.
Flipping this table, motherfucker.
This is the one of the 8 that I would be most excited about. It's unfortunate that they're not playing in front of fans because I think this one could be great. But I went with Carolina. I like their depth. Again, just a young group that I think is hungry and encouraged and excited. I love the Trocheck pickup. People forget about how skilled Carolina is. I mean, some of the players on their team.
Look at Svechnikov.
Yeah, I mean, Sebastian Aho is a sneaky, really, really good player. And like you alluded to, Kyle, their coaching is pretty amazing. So I would go, I'm going to go Carolina in 4.
I went Carolina at 5. Very similar reasons to you
Feel
guys.
good that we all disagreed with Kustrin.
That's always a good place to be. I mean, I love the Rangers' offense, but I just think they have a lot of holes and uncertainty otherwise. I mean, I hear you. If you put a gun to my head, I think I'm putting Lundqvist in there, even though he had he struggled this regular season. Let's be honest.
It should be Igor. It really should.
I wouldn't be mad about that. It's just one of those weird things, right? You got a 5-game like.
I get it.
Where do you place your trust, right? Do you go back to the king and his huge dong, or do you go to the young buck, right? Who's trying
History
to
is not prophecy.
No, this is true. But I mean, I think by the time you look at Trocheck, Dzingel, Teuvo, Teravainen, Aho, these other guys, and Justin Williams, Mr. Game 7, is back. And then you look at their defense; they're super deep, man. They got Brady Shea, Slavin, Hamilton might be in, out, we don't know yet. Vatanen, Gardner, Edmondson. I mean, that's a nice top 6. Carolina at 5. But it's going to be a good series.
The only thing I do want to add to that is Artemi Panarin. What a fucking player he proved himself to be this year.
Love it.
Going to New York and putting up an MVP caliber season. The fact that he's a finalist for the Hart and the fucking Ted Lindsay as well. Like, that guy is legit.
Especially when
he deserves to be hoisted up on our shoulders.
He's a Russian hero.
But when you compare him to his peers, when I say his peers, the guys that he's up for those awards right now, Pasternak and Draisaitl, they get to play with guys like Bergeron, Marchand, and McDavid.
And their first overall draft. Or not first overall, first round draft picks.
Right. And then you got a guy like Panarin, who was undrafted.
Yep.
And doing it at this level with, of course, the Rangers have some good talent to complement him. But, I mean, he even sometimes plays in their second line. And he's certainly not playing with anyone of a McDavid, Marchand, Bergeron level. Yep. So to put these kind of numbers up, and damn, his flexibility just, it impresses me every time. He gets those high kicks up over the chin.
I feel like Panarin is one of those guys where you would hop on the ice with him and you would just be like, your eyes would just be wide open.
Yeah.
Like, man, this guy's fucking good.
You'd be like, Coach, put me on his line.
It's so, like you said, Rubes, it's so impressive that he's undrafted, but the guy is 5'11", 170. Like, that's
those numbers are pumped.
Yeah, like you throw those numbers out, you're like, the guy plays on the PGA Tour. He doesn't play in the NHL. And he's a stud. He gets it done, undrafted. Kudos to that man. Huge fan of the bread man.
He's out there every night with fresh material, and he's charming.
Excellent Family Guy reference.
That was a Family Guy reference?
Yeah.
You guys.
Thanks, Kit.
You guys.
You're welcome.
Another interesting series here. 7 versus 10. New York Islanders versus the Florida Panthers. Custer, what do you got?
I think this is going to be a goodie. And my gut says you're going to see the Islanders win a tight series for a couple reasons, because I think Florida's really going to feel not having somebody like Trocheck there, and they're not going to score enough to get over the hump, quite frankly. I think Bobrovsky is going to prove his playoff worth and turn it around from the regular season, but I do think the Islanders are just going to systematically shut them down, score enough to win games. I do think it's going to be close. I'm going Islanders in 5.
Kittle?
Yeah, the Islanders are definitely one of those teams that I always underestimate because you don't see the high pedigree type of players. It's like, who's the best player on the Islanders right now?
Barzal.
Obviously. But after that, I feel like there's a deep drop-off, but they just play such a good, sound defensive game. But still, for me, it came back to the fact that Florida now has Quenneville, who is a Hall of Fame-worthy coach of his own. And they have a lot of talent there. When you look at Barkov, Huberdeau, Hoffman, and you look on the back end, you got Yandel and Ekblad. And if Bobrovsky can play the way that he did in the playoffs last year, obviously when he was with Columbus and knocked out Tampa Bay, I think that it's going to be Florida. So I went with Florida in 4 games. It's going to be a good series because they're both so well coached with Barry Trotz and Joel Quenneville, but I gave it to Florida.
I'm with you on that. I went Florida in 4. I just like their top 6 better than the top 6 on the Islanders. I think their bottom 6 are actually pretty evenly matched of, who you can squeak out some offense over there. D-wise, I like Florida a little bit better, but again, pretty solid matchup. But Bobrovsky, if he plays the way he can, he could steal this series easily. Now, that's a big if, of course. He had a rough start to this season.
Not good.
But hopefully he's had some opportunity to see his...
Get some hookers in there and sort it out.
Whatever you got to do.
Hookers and vodka?
I don't know if that works in the bubble, but if it does, Godspeed. I'm saying...
not. Very sad.
Very sad. Hopefully they have a concubine in Edmonton and or Toronto. Is that racial?
What's your pick? Did you?
I said Florida and 4.
Okay.
Schwartzy.
I'm going to go with the Islanders. I like their stingy defense. I think that I like their group a little bit more. I like their system a little bit more. But I do think that this one is one of those toss-up series. I heard you guys made valid arguments for Florida. The Quenneville thing is great. Florida has Ekblad. They have Huberdeau, Bobrovsky. They have a lot of talent. They're not playing in an empty barn. They're,
well, they are playing in an empty barn.
They are playing in an empty barn, but there's a reason.
They're trying to make it feel like a non-empty barn.
Yeah.
Mix it up.
And I just think that for all these teams that should not have made the playoffs, they're just, I keep saying it, but they're just playing with house money. They really have nothing to lose, which makes them dangerous. So I see what you guys are saying, but I do think the Islanders are going to squeak this one out in another 5-game series.
I think part of me just doesn't want the Islanders to make it beyond this round because it is just the most boring hockey to watch.
Yeah.
Like the Islanders could be playing the Penguins. I'm like, I don't even want to watch.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
they were
so boring.
Tied for 3rd in the East in goals against in terms of they've only given up 193 goals.
Which is wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that would put them top 10 in the league. So they know how to keep the biscuit out of the basket.
Those sons of bitches.
Well done, Matt. Well done.
Yeah, if they're top 3rd, that is top 10%. You're right.
8 versus 9 in the East. Toronto versus Columbus. So I think you can make a legitimate argument that this would have been maybe a battle down the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Who's leading this one off?
I'll go first. Columbus is just one of those teams that I can't get into them. I can't get excited about the Columbus Blue Jackets. I never have. I don't think I ever will. They're just in Ohio. I don't know.
Fucking Ohio.
But having said that, this again is going to be a barn burner. Toronto, I think just that market puts a lot of pressure on the team. You have a Tavares, Matthews. They have all the talent in the world. I'm going Toronto in 5. Maybe a little comeback. Maybe a little down 2-0, come back and win it. I like the young coach. I think I'm excited to see how this one pans out. Jones is playing really, really well for Columbus. He's coming into his own. I think Toronto has just a little bit too much firepower that will offset their a little bit lack of goaltending. But I will go Toronto in 5.
Let me ask you, who would you start in net right now for Columbus? Are you
If
going
I'm-
Elvis?
If I'm Tortorella, I go with Elvis. I go with Merzlikins.
Okay.
Because he had that stretch where he was so lights out. What was it? Like 5 in 8 or something like that? Or like 3
something-
shutouts
something
naked or something
ridiculous.
absurd? Like he was so good
He
in that
literally
stretch.
earned his contract extension in those 5 games or whatever it was.
Absolutely. And it's one of those things is like, if I'm looking at a short stretch, which obviously a 5-game series is. And Korpisalo has been very good. You can't discount what he did. He was very, very important to what that team's done this year. But Merzlikins, that guy is legit. I go with Elvis.
Give me the rest of your prediction while we're on you.
So it's funny that I just talked up Columbus for the last minute, but I'm all about the pedigree that the Maple Leafs have. Because Frederik Andersen is a legit top 10 goalie in the league. You look at Matthews, Marner, Tavares, that's 3 players that you absolutely have to be worried about because they could take over a series by themselves.
And rumor has it, I don't know if you saw, they've actually been playing on a line together a little bit in their inter-squad scrimmages, which they've never done prior. They normally are always separated on 2 lines.
Yeah, because you got at least 2 natural centers there for sure. But yeah, that could be scary dangerous. But even still, you look beyond that, like Morgan Riley's a good player. And Tyson Barrie, even though he hasn't had the best year this year, has been a very good player in his career throughout. And as good as Columbus has been, and as much as John Tortorella has coached those guys up to get the absolute maximum out of their skill ability, when you let Panarin, Duchesne, Bobrovsky all just walk away for nothing, you get no return for that. And the fact that they've been able to be as good as they have been, hey, credit to you, but I think it's the Maple Leafs all the way in this one. I go Maple Leafs in 4.
I like it. Cuss.
No, I agree. I've got the Maple Leafs making short work on the Columbus Blue Jackets in 4 games. I just think they're going to overpower them offensively. Yeah, I think they have a coaching advantage in John Tortorella in Columbus. But at the same time, I think you're going to see a loose Toronto team because of not having Babcock behind the bench heading into the playoffs here. And they're just so deep offensively and all over the ice, quite frankly. It's going to be tough to keep up with them on the score sheet. And not only that, but I don't know if you guys heard about the Nick Robertson kid that made the roster that could make an impact.
He's good.
I think, I just had it up here, I think he had, in the O last year, he had 86 points in 46 games.
Is that any
good? Is that good?
Maybe. But someone that could make the roster to look out for and just make them that more dangerous. Well, he's on the roster, could play and contribute. So I'm taking Toronto in 4.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just the story here, right? There's just such an advantage offensively for the Maple Leafs. It's really hard to debate this, I think, the other way. I mean, as much as Tortorella, like you mentioned, Kits, can coach these guys up and make them a really respectable squad. And they do have some, they have a strong D end between Jones, Werenski, Denny Savard back there.
Those guys are unbelievable.
They're fantastic. And again, hats off to Tortorella for what he's able to do with what he has. I mean, the guy does make chicken salad out of chicken shit somehow. But I think the forwards up front, Toronto and Anderson. And then I don't want to sleep on, man, Jason Spezza. Highly motivated. Went
basically
back
been
home.
their 4th line center all year.
Yeah, 4th line center. Went back home to try and win a cup. Another guy, I'd put him right up there. I mean, hasn't played quite as long as Marleau yet, but has played a long ass time without that opportunity. I think he lost 1 cup in Ottawa. Finally getting some ice time in Toronto too. Ever since Babcock's been gone. I think there's a lot of motivation there. I think they're going to make relatively quick work, but I do think Columbus will squeak 1 game out of it. I'm going Toronto in 4, boys. So let's see what happens. It's going to be an entertaining Saturday and Sunday, though, guys. I mean, our cable providers.
The fact that we got 5-6 games every night, unbelievable. It's going to be awesome.
It's fantastic. What do you guys think? Do we want to make any Stanley Cup predictions now, or are we moving on from that?
Does anyone remember what they picked? Are we sticking? Do we repick, or are we like, hey, these are our picks?
I think we should wait until we have our final 16 teams.
Okay.
That's fair.
Fair enough. I do remember. Just if we want to even state it, we can of course not include this. But I picked Tampa, St. Louis, so I'm still in the running. I don't hate those picks. I don't know if I'd place them right.
Who was your winner?
I had Tampa winning.
Okay.
I wish I remembered who I took.
I'm pretty sure I was Vegas over Tampa Bay. I'm not sure if I would repeat that or not, but I don't hate it.
I had Pittsburgh over Nashville.
Hate it! No. I would love that.
I don't hate it. I wouldn't pick Nashville again, but I'm comfortable with Pittsburgh.
Something tells me I had San Jose.
You did.
I think I had San Jose.
That sounds like something you would say.
Yeah. But I didn't have them winning it. I don't think.
Let me ask you this. I know Costigan included this in his blog today, and he's not the only person that's brought this up. Interesting move, Vegas acquiring Robin Lehner, who was a Vezina finalist last year for the Islanders. This year had a solid year in Chicago for a team that didn't play particularly well as a unit. They acquire him at the deadline. Interesting move given the fact they have this veteran, Hall of Fame resume, Marc-Andre Fleury. Do you think is Leonard? Are you giving him game one here?
No.
Right?
Absolutely not. No. You go with Fleury. Leonard is your wild card. He's your backup. If for some reason you all of a sudden see like, oh shit, these 5 months off have been really bad for Marc-Andre, he doesn't have it. Let's see what Robin has. That's why you have him there. Because previous to that, their backup plan was Malcolm Subban, who has not shown himself to be a capable NHL goaltender. So they were able to get Robin Lehner at a pretty cheap price. So for them, it made sense because it was like, you know what? Marc-Andre's our guy. He's absolutely our franchise cornerstone. He's the most popular player out there in Vegas. And we hope that he has it and he's good to go. But if he's not, then we have a viable backup plan and we're ready to still keep rolling through the playoffs.
I like it. I don't know how anyone at this point can even argue that personally. I'm a Fleury all the way. Just kind of interesting to see how that'll play out, if they'll plan to extend him or not. Because otherwise, Leonard will be unrestricted after this season. And, I mean, certainly some NHL squads out there looking for a starter. Again, just even going into this playoffs, you listed 5. But even really, I know in the bottom of that post, you even listed, there's like 3 other teams that are kind of like, who do you go with here?
Don't forget the Seattle situation, too.
Seattle, right?
Give them something. They need a goalie.
Yeah, there's some interesting movement in the goaltender position in the NHL right now. But anyhow, boys, obviously exciting for Saturday and Sunday.
Oh,
Can't wait.
And in light of that, we got the weekly picks is finally back.
Oh, they're back.
And we should, unfortunately...
Can't wait to dominate again.
That son of a bitch.
You didn't dominate one person.
For our fans out there,
Fuck that guy.
the weekly
What
picks.
about you assholes?
We play a little game every week. We have 9 games. Well, this week there's extra questions, but normally there are 9 questions every week to predict NHL action, earn up to 30 points. Winner wins a free gift card. The monthly winner wins a free stick. And we're going to step that up for the playoffs here. I should just note Nick Augustiniak out there, 308 points this last year during the regular season, which was cut short. Sorry about that, Nick. But the champ of the regular season for 1920,
Barely.
Kittleberger, that son of a bitch, came in second with 297. As a group, as a foursome, I was right behind Kittle there with 12 points back. I know I would have catched his ass. Custer with 259. Schwartzy 193. He was just catching his wind back there.
The app didn't work.
Yeah, right? No, the app always works. He just didn't like to
No, it
log
works
in.
now. It just didn't work.
He doesn't like the interface.
So a reminder, go on, download the Hockey Players Club app. You can play the weekly picks game, take you all of 30 seconds, especially on the app, or go to hockeyplayersclub.com/weekly-picks. Get your picks in, totally free to play. Win some free stuff. But, gentlemen, Saturday, Sunday, we got some big games. I figured I picked 2 questions, both from Saturday, just because they're fun. They're 5-pointers. So I feel like there's a little more variable there, a little more. I want to test your actual knowledge, or just throw a dart at the board. Guys, who's going to record the most points on Saturday? Custer, I'm coming to you. We got Artemi Panarin, Patty Kane, Leon Draisaitl, Sidney Crosby, and Mark Scheifele. So some guys who like to put up points. Who's scoring the most points first day of play-in action?
I'm going to go a little different, Kyle. You ready for it?
Oh.
Artemi Panarin, the bread man, against Carolina. You didn't think I was going there, did you? I think he's going to come out and be feeling his, heart performance from the regular season, go out there, show up for the Big Apple in Toronto, and do some big things.
Kittle?
It saddens me so much to hear you say that because I also said Artemi Panarin.
So that should be good for 0 points out of both of you.
Welcome to the machine, Kyle.
Because as much as I thought you were for sure going to latch on to Draisaitl, by far the leading scorer from the regular season, but Panarin, even though I think Carolina's going to win that series, I think Panarin's been so good, he's going to come out on fire Saturday night, he's going to have himself a big night.
All right, Schwartzy.
I went with Crosby against Montreal. He always
Love it.
seems to play well against the Canadians, and he's going to be rare and ready to go and come out hot.
I'm with you on this. Crosby, his first game back from anything, broken jaw, concussion, somehow he just throws up 4 or 5 points like, he's been doing it for years, because he has. So, I'm counting on Crosby, big night versus Montreal Saturday. Staying with Saturday, boys, who's going to record the most saves on Saturday? So, little goaltender action. We got Peter Mrazek for the Hurricanes, Corey Crawford for the Blackhawks, Sergei Bobrovsky for the Panthers, Carey Price for the Canadians, and Connor Hellebuck versus the Flames. Most saves, Schwartzy.
So I'm not sure that some of these guys are actually going to be in net. So I went with the sure thing, and just because he has the most saves doesn't necessarily mean he's going to win. I went with Carey Price. I think he's going to get peppered by Pittsburgh, and he might have 45, 47 saves, but he might still give up 4 or 5 goals.
Kittle?
Like you thought.
Yeah, I went with Hellebuck. He faced, if not the most shots this year, at least the second most shots, because Winnipeg definitely did not have the strongest defense all year. So even if it is in a losing effort, I think he's going to be all right. But I could see him stealing that game for Winnipeg. And I think Hellebuck.
You merged a lot of words into one of that
They
one.
were. There was at least 3 words.
It was like 7 syllables in there.
Yeah. It's a good slushie.
I also am going to agree with Mumbles McGee over here, and that Connor Hellebuck is where I'm going because the puck stops there, and that's a good spot to stop for goalies.
Oh.
You're really something. I'm going to go Corey Crawford. I just think similar logic to Schwartzy. I think he's going to get peppered on Saturday night. So I'm not necessarily counting on him winning, but I think he'll make the most number of saves. So final reminder for our listeners, go download the Hockey Players Club app or go to hockeyplayersclub.com/weekly-picks. Throw in those picks. You could win yourself a free gift card or a free twig, which is pretty sweet. And, just gloat to your friends that you got more points than them. So that's always a lot of fun. But boys,
We do it.
good to see you guys again. It's been a while.
I haven't seen you since the NHL stopped.
I've never been so happy in this
Right?
time off between
The spring. It's been a great spring. And these slushies. It's good work, Matt.
No, but I agree.
Boy,
Cheers,
I
Matty. Thank you for the
cannot
slushies.
wait till the return to play. It's going to be so much
Yes.
fun. Here's hoping that the bubbles work and we don't have anything that gets fucking torpedoed out of nowhere with some terrible COVID information. But I think we're looking forward to a long end of summer with some fantastic hockey, and we're all going to be enjoying it.
Boys, it's July, and we got NHL hockey coming up.
Fantastic.
I always was a fan of bubble hockey as a kid. Never knew I'd be such a fan of bubble hockey as an adult.
Right?
Let's
What a way
go.
to close out the show. Get your styrofoam cups up there.
Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers, gentlemen. We'll see everybody next week.